What if I told you that overthinking isn't a personality trait you're stuck with? What if the mental loops, the constant worry, and the exhausting analysis of every situation could be stopped through 8 specific habits you can start practicing today? After studying people who've overcome chronic overthinking and found genuine inner peace, I discovered something that will change everything. Overthinking isn't about thinking too much. It's about thinking in the wrong way. And there are 8 proven habits that rewire how your mind works, bringing you from mental chaos to lasting calm. Here's the truth that nobody tells you. Your brain is designed to solve problems, but overthinking happens when you try to solve problems that either don't exist, can't be solved through thinking, or aren't actually problems at all. Your mind gets stuck in loops because it's trying to find certainty in situations where certainty doesn't exist. It's trying to control outcomes through mental rehearsal that can't change reality. Think about how much time you lose to overthinking. How is analyzing conversations that already happened? Endless scenarios about situations that will never occur. Mental energy spent on worries that never materialize. Post-overthinkers are exhausted not from their actual lives, but from the parallel reality they create in their minds, where they're constantly fighting imaginary battles. I used to be trapped in overthinking so severe, I couldn't make simple decisions without spiraling into analysis paralysis. Should I send that email? What will they think? What if it's interpreted wrong? What if this leads to that which leads to something terrible? My mind created elaborate disaster scenarios from the smallest choices. I was living in constant mental torture, while my actual life passed me by. Then I discovered these 8 habits practiced by people who had completely freed themselves from overthinking, not by thinking more or thinking better, but by fundamentally changing their relationship with their thoughts. When I implemented these habits, the transformation was immediate. Within days, I noticed my mind quieting. Within weeks, I could catch thought loops before they spiraled. Within months, I experienced inner peace I didn't know was possible. The beautiful thing about these 8 habits is they don't require you to stop thinking or empty your mind. They teach you to think effectively when thinking is useful and disengage from thinking when it's destructive. They give you control over your mental state instead of being controlled by runaway thoughts. But here's what most people get wrong about stopping overthinking. They try to think their way out of overthinking. They analyze why they overthink. They worry about their worry. They think about not thinking. This makes everything worse because you're using the problem as the solution. These 8 habits work differently. They interrupt the overthinking pattern at the source and replace it with practices that create genuine calm. Some of these habits will feel counterintuitive because they involve doing less, not more. They involve accepting uncertainty instead of seeking control. But that's exactly why they work. Overthinking is an attempt to control the uncontrollable. Inner peace comes from releasing that impossible quest. If you're exhausted from the constant mental noise, if you're ready to stop living in your head and start living in reality, subscribe right now because these 8 habits will give you the mental freedom you've been desperately seeking. Habit 1. The thought observation practice. The first habit that stops overthinking is learning to observe your thoughts instead of being your thoughts. This is the foundation everything else builds on. Most overthinkers are completely identified with their thoughts. When a thought appears, they believe it, follow it, and let it dictate their emotional state. This habit teaches you to step back and watch your thoughts like clouds passing in the sky. You notice, I'm having the thought that something bad might happen, instead of something bad is going to happen. This subtle shift creates space between you and your thoughts, breaking the identification that fuels overthinking. Practice this throughout the day. When you notice yourself spiraling, pause and say internally, I'm noticing I'm thinking about. This simple observation interrupts the automatic thought process and reminds you that you're not your thoughts. You're the awareness observing them. Emma struggled with anxious overthinking for years. When she started practicing thought observation, everything changed. Instead of being swept away by worried thoughts, she could watch them without engaging. The thoughts still appeared, but they lost their power because she stopped believing every thought was truth or required action. Habit 2. The 5-minute rule. The second habit is implementing the 5-minute rule for decisions and concerns. If something will take less than 5 minutes to resolve or address, do it immediately. If it will take longer or can't be resolved right now, schedule a specific time to address it and refuse to think about it until then. Overthinking thrives on open loops. When you have unresolved issues floating in your mind with no plan for resolution, your brain keeps cycling back to them. The 5-minute rule closes loops immediately when possible and creates clear boundaries when immediate resolution isn't possible. Send that email now. Make that quick call now. If you can't address something now, write it down with a specific time you will address it, then mentally release it. Trust that you'll handle it at the scheduled time. This practice gives your mind permission to stop cycling because it knows nothing is being forgotten or ignored. Habit 3. The present moment anchor. The third habit is creating a present moment anchor, a simple physical sensation you return to whenever you notice overthinking beginning. This could be feeling your breath, noticing your feet on the ground, or focusing on sounds around you. Overthinking always involves mentally leaving the present moment. You're either replaying the past or rehearsing the future. Your anchor brings you back to right now, the only place where life actually happens and where overthinking can't survive. When you notice your mind spiraling, redirect attention to your anchor. Feel your breath moving in and out. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. Notice 3 sounds you can hear. This isn't about clearing your mind. It's about grounding yourself in present reality, where overthinking has no foothold. Marcus used breath as his anchor. Every time he caught himself overthinking, he'd focus on 3 deep breaths. This simple practice interrupted the spiral and brought him back to the present moment, where he could see clearly that in this moment, right now, everything was actually okay. Habit 4. The productive action principle. The 4th habit is the productive action principle. Whenever you notice overthinking about a situation, ask yourself, is there a productive action I can take right now? If yes, take it. If no, consciously redirect your attention to something else. Overthinking is often procrastination in disguise. Instead of taking action that might feel uncomfortable, your mind keeps you busy with thoughts that create the illusion of productivity. You're doing something about the problem by thinking about it, except you're not actually doing anything. This habit forces the distinction between productive thinking that leads to action and overthinking that leads nowhere. If thinking about something can generate a useful action, think for a moment, identify the action, then take it. If thinking won't generate action, stop thinking and do something else. Lisa overthought every work project, spending hours mentally rehearsing scenarios instead of actually working. When she implemented the productive action principle, her productivity exploded. Is there an action I can take? Yes, write the next paragraph. No more thinking, just action. Her overthinking decreased dramatically because action replaced rumination. Habit 5. The worry time container. The 5th habit is creating a worry time container. Designate 15 minutes daily, same time every day, where you're allowed to worry and overthink about anything. Outside this window, when worries or overthinking arise, you acknowledge them and postpone them to your worry time. This works because it gives your mind structure. Instead of fighting overthinking whenever it appears, which gives it more power, you redirect it to a specific time. Your brain learns that worrying is permitted, just not right now. This reduces resistance and gives you control. During your worry time, write down every concern. Most of the time, when worry time arrives, the concerns that seemed urgent earlier now seem trivial. Many worries resolve themselves or become irrelevant by the time you're scheduled to address them. This teaches your brain that most overthinking is unnecessary. Habit 6. The certainty release. The 6th habit is practicing certainty release, deliberately accepting that you cannot know or control many outcomes. Overthinking is fueled by the belief that if you think hard enough, long enough, you can create certainty and control. This habit involves consciously acknowledging uncertainty and letting go of the need to control. When you notice yourself overthinking, pause and acknowledge, I cannot know how this will turn out, and that's okay. I can handle whatever happens. This statement directly addresses the root cause of overthinking, the intolerance of uncertainty. Sarah obsessively overthought social interactions, replaying conversations and worrying about how she was perceived. When she started practicing certainty release, acknowledging she couldn't control others' perceptions and didn't need to, her social anxiety decreased dramatically. She stopped trying to think her way to control and started accepting the natural uncertainty of human interaction. Habit 7. The physical release ritual. The 7th habit addresses the fact that overthinking isn't just mental, it's physical. Anxious thinking creates tension in your body, and that tension fuels more anxious thinking. The physical release ritual involves deliberately releasing body tension to interrupt the overthinking cycle. When you notice overthinking, do a quick body scan. Where are you holding tension? Your jaw, shoulders, stomach? Consciously relax those areas. Take deep breaths, move your body through stretching or brief exercise. Physical release interrupts the stress response that keeps overthinking active. This works because your mind and body are one system. When your body is relaxed, your mind finds it much harder to maintain anxious overthinking. By addressing the physical component, you interrupt the loop that keeps mental spiraling alive. David discovered his overthinking was accompanied by intense shoulder tension. When he started deliberately releasing that tension through simple stretches and conscious relaxation, his overthinking decreased noticeably. His body and mind were connected, releasing one calmed the other. Habit 8, the gratitude redirect. The 8th habit is the gratitude redirect. When you catch yourself overthinking, immediately shift focus to 3 things you're genuinely grateful for in this moment. Not generic gratitude, but specific appreciation for simple things present right now. Overthinking and gratitude cannot occupy the same mental space. When you're genuinely appreciating what's good in your life, your brain cannot simultaneously spiral into worst-case scenarios. This isn't about toxic positivity or denying problems. It's about interrupting overthinking with genuine appreciation. The key is making it immediate and specific. The moment you notice overthinking, I'm grateful for the comfortable temperature in this room. I'm grateful for the coffee I'm drinking. I'm grateful my body is healthy right now. Simple, present, genuine. This shift rewires your brain to notice good alongside challenges. The transformation these 8 habits create is profound. Before implementing them, most overthinkers live in constant mental exhaustion, unable to be present, trapped in loops of worry and analysis. They miss actual experiences because they're lost in thought about experiences. They're anxious about future events and regretful about past moments. After mastering these habits, your mind becomes a tool you use rather than a tyrant that controls you. You think clearly when thinking is useful, and disengage easily when it's not. You experience genuine inner peace, not because your life is perfect, but because you're no longer at war with uncertainty and reality. But here's the critical truth. These habits require practice. Your overthinking patterns are deeply grooved from years of repetition. New patterns need consistent practice to become automatic. Start with one habit, maybe thought observation or the present moment anchor. Practice it daily for 2 weeks, then add another. Write in the comments which habit you're starting with today. Be specific about your commitment. If this video showed you the path from overthinking to inner peace, hit that like button and subscribe. Share this with someone trapped in their own mind. These 8 habits aren't about thinking better. They're about relating to thoughts differently. When you stop fighting your thoughts and start observing them, when you release the need for certainty and embrace present reality, inner peace isn't something you find someday. It's something you experience right now.